Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'm gonna put some finishing touches on my bearing removal tool that I actually created to pull the bearings out of a front wheel of a Honda Goldwing. And this is gonna apply to previous generation Honda Goldwing as well as the new style Honda Goldwing. I wanna talk a little bit about the front wheel bearings on a Honda Goldwing before I get into putting some finishing touches on my bearing removal tool. So if you have a Honda Goldwing, whether it's the new style Honda Goldwing or the previous generation Honda Goldwing, you have front wheel bearings that are actually sealed and pressed in from Honda. And to get those bearings out, you're gonna need a specialized tool, a bearing removal tool to pull those bearings. Okay, it's covered with an outside rubber seal that keeps water and dust and keeps the oil inside of the bearings. The front wheel bearings of a Honda Goldwing needs to be inspected and changed every so often. But inside of the Honda Goldwing service manual, it doesn't give you a service interval on when to change these bearings. So how do you know if your bearings are worn out? How do you know if the bearings need to be replaced? If you ride a lot of miles on your Honda Goldwing, if you have, in my personal opinion, if you have 100,000 miles or more, it's probably a good idea to change out your bearings on your Honda Goldwing. A good time to inspect the bearings on your Honda Goldwing is every time you take off the front wheel. Would be a good idea to inspect the front bearings. You need to pop out the seals that are on the right and the left side. A couple of indications that will let you know that your bearings need to be changed is that when you get ready to take the front wheel off and you try to pull the axle out and you're having a hard time just pulling the axle out once you unbolt it from the forks of the Honda Goldwing. If you can't pull that axle out, if you're having to take a hammer to beat the axle out, it's probably rusted on the inside. That's a very good indication that you need to change your bearings. Okay, once you get the axle out, pop out the seals on both sides, on the right and left side. If you see a lot of rust down in there around the bearings, around the top of the bearings, there's a lot of rust, it's probably a good idea to change your bearings. Another indication that you probably need to change your bearings is that the front wheel is hard to turn. Also, if you're getting a grinding noise, if you're hearing a lot of noise coming from that axle area, it's probably a good idea to inspect and change your bearings. Once again, the service interval for changing your bearings is not inside of the Honda Goldwing service manual. So please refer to your Honda dealer on how often you need to change your bearings or to have your bearings inspected or to have your bearings changed. So if you're going to change your bearings, I highly recommend that you go back with the Honda original OEM bearings. You can pick these up at the Honda dealership. I'm going to include a link in the description of the video of the part number of the bearings that's for this previous generation Honda Goldwing, and the same bearings that fit the new Honda Goldwing as well. So in this video, I'm going to put some finishing touches on my bearing removal tool that I actually created. About 4 years ago, I actually made a bearing removal tool. If you guys missed that video, you can click on the link and check it out. If you need a bearing removal tool, I'll include a link in the description of the video of a bearing removal tool that you can actually buy that's already made. That bearing removal tool is going to cost anywhere from $800 to $900. So the bearing removal tool is very expensive. I'll leave a link in the description of the video, and it's going to cost about $800 to $900. So stay tuned to this video. I'm just going to put some finishing touches to complete my bearing removal tool, and then I'm going to demonstrate if the bearing removal tool actually works. We're going to pull out the bearings on this front wheel of a Honda Goldwing. So stay tuned to this video, and I'm just going to put some finishing touches on my bearing removal tool before I attempt to pull out the bearings on this front wheel. So let's get started. bearing down to that second line. I'm just going to tighten this thing down. Make sure that I'm in the right position. So double bearing. So I'm going to take my tool and I want to tighten that blind puller to the bearing. Okay. Okay, now we're just gonna tighten the tool down onto the wheel. I can always go back and add some paint or add some additional weld if needed. So the trick to this puller is it's got to be straight. You really need another set of hands, someone to actually hold the bearing puller. Another person can turn the top nut, making sure that the bearing is straight. It is straight, and now I can just keep turning this nut. So what's happening is actually pulling the bearings out of the wheel. So my bearing puller does work. It just works better with two sets of hands. So the bearing is starting to come up. As you guys can see, there's the bearing. Just gonna lower it back down. And it actually kept both bearings together, which is a good thing. So as you can see, it actually pulled the bearings out. So my bearing puller tool does work. It just works better with two people. So as you can see, I got the bearings out. The inner sleeve I need to take out. There's that inner sleeve. Next, I'm gonna flip the wheel over. Lock it into place. One, two. One, two. Make sure it's straight. Lock it down. Make sure that that's nice and tight. Going to take my bearing puller tool. So here we go. I got everything lined up, and I'm just going to turn this thing. And basically, the bearing should start lifting out. I'm going to continue to turn this top nut. I can see the bearing starting to lift out, and I'm just going to turn this thing. It has to be centered. Once it's centered, I can see the bearing starting to come up. A little bit more. And that bearing is out. So now I have the bearing out of the wheel. As you can see, the bearings are still together. I didn't break them or anything. So my bearing puller tool actually works. Now I can release the wheel. And now those bearings are completely out. So now that I have the bearings completely out of the wheel, using my Caliente bearing puller tool, it works really well. The only problem is that it really needs two people to take out the bearings. One person to hold the bearing puller while the other person turned that top nut. So other than that, everything works fine. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment down in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you a little bit later out here in the Caliente garage.